Hi, I'm Fran Finko, Superintendent of the School District of Onalaska. Many have heard that the district is going to referendum in November to ask the community for permission to exceed the revenue limit. This new referendum is needed for us to continue to operate the district with the programs, services, and technology we currently have in place. This video is an attempt for us to accurately explain the reasons for the November 6th referendum.
School districts in Wisconsin are restricted in raising the money they need to operate by 1993 legislation that imposed revenue limits on districts. At that time, the limit was based on what districts were spending per pupil. Back then, the legislature limited school boards from increasing spending on their own with the promise of 2/3 funding from the state. Even though Onalaska has traditionally been a low-spending district, the revenue limit, as you can see by this slide, caused our mill rate to decrease over time, which was the intent of the restriction. Unfortunately, the 2/3 funding of our schools only lasted for a while, and in 2003, the legislature and the governor's office dropped that promise. Since that time, new money to operate was based on a per-pupil increase determined by the legislature. Those increases have varied over the past 15 years, as you can see by this slide. Not only have the increases been inconsistent, in 2011, the legislature and governor actually reduced our revenue by approximately $500 per student, causing our district to have to cut $1.5 million in that year. In the past 5 years, our increases have varied from $0 new dollars to $204 per student. The only other ways for school districts to increase the money they need to operate are to increase their enrollment, which would bring in more money per student, or to ask their communities for permission to exceed the revenue limit through an operating referendum. For the past 13 years, the voters of Onalaska have allowed the school district to run a better than revenue limited school district by passing referenda to exceed the revenue limit. This permission has been taken very seriously. We have appreciated the trust you have in us to use this money wisely and effectively. Our students perform exceptionally well academically, in the fine arts, athletically, and socially. Our most recent school and district report cards from the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction indicate that we are in the top 13% of public school districts in the state, and that our high school ranks in the top 9% of public high schools in the state. And as you can see from the comparisons in this slide, we accomplished these successes in a fiscally responsible manner. Back in February 2014, the community passed 3 referendum questions. One that allowed the district to remodel Northern Hills Elementary and to add a gym and classrooms onto Irving Perch Elementary. The other 2 questions increased our operations revenue. One gave the district $500,000 annually for 5 years to improve our technology and technical infrastructure. The other gave the district $1.9 million for 2 years and $2.1 million for the next 3 years to continue to operate the district. We truly appreciated that support. This brings us to the decision to go to referendum again. As was stated earlier, 2018 and 19 is the last year of the current 5-year referenda. Beginning in 2019-2020, our next school year, the school board had to decide to either cut $2.6 million out of the budget or to ask the community to once again support the district with permission to override the revenue limit. The board made the decision to ask the community for another referendum instead of cutting staff members and student programs and services. This slide shows you what will be asked to approve in November. You can see that beginning with 2019-2020, we are asking for the current override of $2.6 million plus an additional $150,000 each year over the previous year for 5 years. The school board realizes that if the community decides not to support this referendum, they would realize an approximate savings of $135 on a $100,000 property. But the positive news is, if the community decides to support the referendum, we are projecting that the tax rate over the next 5 years, even with this continued support, would never exceed the tax rate from 2017 and 2018, which was $9.65 per thousand of property value. As you can see from this slide, over the 5 years of a new referendum, the tax rate is projected to dip into the low $9 range and not increase back up to our current rate. What's at stake if the referendum fails? Back in 2002, when the referendum failed, the district had to cut $1.2 million in the first year and $600,000 more over the next 3 years in order to balance the budget. Programs were cut and 27 positions were affected. If the district had to cut $2.6 million in 2019, it would mean the programs, practices, and opportunities our children currently have would be reduced significantly. It would force staffing cuts and could impact enrollment, as students could open enroll out of our district to districts where programs that were cut in our district would be more readily available. Hi, I'm Ann Garrity, President of the Onalaska Board of Education. I hope this short video helped explain the situation our school district is in, beginning with the 2019-2020 school year. As a school board, our ability to raise additional funds to operate our schools is restricted by state statute. Revenue caps limit operating revenue. The only way for districts to increase operating revenue is to gain more students or ask the community for permission to exceed that revenue limit. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this message and to consider the type of school district you want for Onalaska's children. In past years, the community's support of our school district has been nothing short of amazing. Please remember to vote on November 6th, 2018.